feel it. Live your life and don't let anybody change what's inside you. It's alright.
Hello, and thank you all so much for sticking around after our screening of Cowboys. I hope that you loved the movie as much as I did. I'm so excited to welcome some very special guests from the film. We have Anna Kerrigan, Steve Zahn, and Sasha Knight joining us. So we can bring them all out. Thank you so much.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to chat about this movie. It's so touching and incredible, and I'm blown away by every single one of you and all of your collaborators who couldn't be with us today. It's really a very special piece of work, and you should all be very proud of yourselves.
Oh, thank you so much, Cyrus.
Of course.
Yeah.
First, I would just love to hear about how all of you got involved in the film. For Anna, how did you kind of come up with this the story? And for Steve and Sasha, at what point did you jump on the project and say, I need to be in this?
Well, I grew up coming to Montana in the part of Montana where we filmed, which is the Flathead Valley in northwestern Montana. And when I started writing the script, I just started with a father and son on a horse. And that was all I knew. It was one of those screenplays where I just started writing without really having a sense of where it was going. And then I discovered this family and, you know, who they were and what this father and son were running from. And it just sort of, you know, grew organically from there. Steve or Sasha?
I read the script maybe 2 years before we actually shot it, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and I was so moved by it, and I was impressed by its just simplicity, and yet these really well-rounded, flawed characters that really spoke to me. And I immediately after reading it was like, I want to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And luckily, and then I had a long conversation, and then she let me do it. And so there was a lot of conversation for a long time. Well, you know, making a movie is nearly impossible, and to get to a set where you're actually doing it is great. So we did it. What about you?
We did it.
What about you, Josh? High five.
Okay, so I wasn't really doing on-camera auditions, but the character was trans, so I did it, and it was so much fun. And then I got a call back, and then I got another call back with Anna, and then I booked it. Well, it was a long time before I booked it, but then...
That's brilliant. Scenario. This is for, I guess, mainly Steve and Sasha, but really all three of you. I would love to hear a little bit about your rehearsal process and pre-production and how all of you became so close, because the intimacy in the film, the honesty, there's a lot of care, not just in these characters, but between you as people. And I would love to hear how all of you got to that point where you were able to be vulnerable and know that your co-stars would catch you, and that you had a team behind you that was there to support you.
You want me to say something?
We had a pre-production. How long did we? We were there for like almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, Steve and Sasha came up about 2 weeks in advance, both to meet each other and for horse training. And I think we did a little gun work. Did we do gun stuff while you were?
You know, yeah, the typical.
We just handed you the gun. Like,
well, you know, there's always like, yeah, the wranglers don't know if you've ever been on a horse or not, and that kind of stuff. And Sasha and I were like immediately cool. with that. And it, you know, it's so important to have that time, especially since, you know, Sasha and I had to spend so much time together, and we had a lot of stuff, just the two of us. So it was really important for me, just to feel comfortable. And even if I didn't like Sasha, that would have been important. But we
Luckily you did.
Yeah, we got along so well. It was so much fun. And I knew that I knew before we shot that it would work, just because of being able to build that relationship in that time, which is rare in film. You know, usually there's so much money spent that they don't want to spend the money to rehearse, you know, which means a lot of different things.
Yeah, but it's so central to our film that you guys had a good, solid, realistic relationship. And so Sasha and Steve came up much earlier than Jillian. We shot all of the sort of wilderness trekking stuff before she arrived. So, you know, she has previously spoken about this in different Q&As, but she felt, you know, like she was kind of on the outside looking in when she first got there. I mean, obviously Steve and Sasha love her, but they had so much more time to bond. And, you know, I think that was helpful to her as well, for the role.
Character, exactly. And the dynamic between the three of you, I think, is weirdly perfect. Navigating schedules and stuff. It's strange how it works out that way.
Right, totally. Yeah, no, we were lucky. And Jillian is like such a lovely human. She had you know, she felt bad, I think, you know, for some of the things that she has to say to Sasha and Steve in the movie.
It was a good group, and I mean, Ann Dowd was just beautiful, and
she's the best.
Really had a good time. That was a really fun movie to do. Hang out.
It's an amazing group of people. And Anna, I'd be curious to hear a little bit about your casting process and how you came to finding all of these wonderful actors who are phenomenally perfect for their part.
Yeah,
you see that.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Yeah, you know, I came from theater, and actually, I don't even know. I feel like it sort of influences my taste in actors. You know, Steve is someone who, like, I had admired for so long, and writing this role, once he's sort of landed on the casting list, you know, he's got serious chops, you know, like I was like, you know, I just envisioned, like, what would I be excited to see? And I was like, I want to see Steve Zahn play this, like, deeply flawed, but, like, loving character. And I think it's a role that very few people could do, or at least do as well as Steve does. So Steve was our first stop. You know, like he said, we had some conversations. Also, like, I want to say that Steve lives on a horse farm in Kentucky. And the first time I called him, he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry about all the noise." And I was like, What do you mean? And he's like, "I'm feeding the animals." And I was like, yes. And so, yeah, Steve was on for a while. And then as we started getting closer to production, we brought Jillian on next. And, you know, she was also someone that I was excited to see sort of play a deeper dramatic role. Not that, you know, she had been in Brittany Runs a Marathon, which is a deeper dramatic role as well. But, you know, I saw the two of them as, like, really working well and convincingly together as the types of couples that I see in Montana. And then, you know, Sasha, and then we brought on Ann Dowd, who of course, like, I just love so much, and she was so perfect. And then Sasha was our last stop, because, you know, you can't really cast kids too far in advance, because unless you really have the money and the dates lined up, because they can get too old. And we worked with Edie Velasco, who was the casting director on Transparent. I had worked with her previously on a couple of readings. And we just did, like, a national search through traditional channels, as well as reaching through community, you know, groups and whatnot. And luckily we found Sasha in the LA area, and, you know, both Edie and I were able to work with him directly, which was great. And it was just like, I mean, as soon as I started working with Sasha, I was like, I mean, who else am I gonna, this is the only person I can cast for this role. He's so amazing. And he also just like visually, like that wasn't my main priority with Joe, but like he really does look like Steve and Jillian's child, you know?
Yeah.
And we had like pretty, I mean, I don't know, Sasha, I don't know how you felt about it, but I felt like Sasha really understood the role and had spent time living in a rural community, not a rural, but like more conservative community in Colorado. And he just got it.
You can really tell in your performance. I think a lot of young actors don't always have that kind of real connection to the material or to the camera and to the audience, and you really cut through all of that beautifully.
Thank you.
Yes, you should be very proud and thank you for making this film, which spoke a lot to me as a trans person, and I'm sure will speak to many other trans viewers who are watching this and see a lot of themselves in it and in your performance. So thank you. And just a question to you, Sasha. I would love to hear about your experience working on set with so many incredible, famous people, and you two as well. But I would love to hear about how being on set with all these people was for you.
It was amazing. Because, like, I don't know how to explain this, but, like, the way that we just fit together, it was, like, so easy just to act together. It just felt so right, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And yeah, you do, as I said, feel it as an audience member. Like there's seamlessness to all of it. It's a testament to Anna's direction and writing as well. But all of you fit so beautifully together into that film. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We have time for a couple more questions. So I'd love to hear a little bit about some of the material. I guess this is mostly to Anna, but anyone can speak on this. The film obviously deals with transphobia and family dynamics of more conservative folks, but also has a lot about mental health. And I would love to hear how you thought about putting those two together, not in the same character, from two different characters, and thinking about both of those topics and the histories of films that came before this, and how Cowboys sets itself apart from past trans narratives, from past narratives about mental health, because I really think it does.
Oh, cool. Well, I don't know if I can speak to like the whole history of those representations in film. But I can say that, you know, I think that as the screenplay started to take shape, I was, oh, these are two modern outlaws, you know? I mean, I think I wouldn't call the movie like a hard Western by any means, but it definitely, you know, in their sort of like fantasy of who they are and, you know, who they want to be, it definitely does sort of play with those tropes. But yeah, so in terms of, you know, creating authentic characters, you know, both in terms of Troy and his struggle with bipolar and Joe, you know, being a transgender kid in rural Montana, the Montana Film Office, who gave us a grant, set me up with a number of trans adults, most of whom had come out in their later years. And speaking to them was really inspirational and amazing. And also reiterated to me, like, yes, it's very, very different to come out as transgender in a state like Montana than in New York or LA. And obviously it's like family dependent, and you can have like a Troy-like parent. I'm going the wrong direction. I can't tell how I am on the screen. But, you know, like, yeah, there's obviously a spectrum, but speaking with them was really important. And we worked closely with GLAAD. There's this guy, Nick Adams, who does transgender media relations. He started looking at the script early on and, consulted us with casting. And I had mental health professionals look at it from the perspective of the, mental illness, though I do know a number of people who are bipolar. And one thing that Steve and I talked about was, what we have both observed in people who are bipolar is that, there really is no one size fits all expression of what that's like. It's very dependent on who the person is. And so we talked a lot about how Troy's bipolar episodes and who he is when he's off his medication differs from, other people. So we just really tried to make it character specific.
I think that's lovely, and it comes through clearly that both these characters aren't kind of textbook representations of any issues. They're real people who have complicated problems that aren't as
right. Yeah, I think I was terrified of ending up with like an issue movie, if that makes sense. I just wanted, like you're saying, like full characters. They are not defined by being transgender or bipolar. They're just human beings, this is part of their identity.
And I think having access to these communities and folks to speak on these issues directly that they've experienced it, I'm sure informed us as well. It all feels very palpably real throughout. It's really not easy to do. It's so easy to slip into kind of normalization, sentimentality, and become this issue movie, and kind of leave the really special, specific story that you all have made. I guess my last question is I would just love to hear what's next for all three of you. What projects do you have going on? If not, anything, that's completely fine.
I know, it's like, COVID.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I mean, just I'm working on a few, original screenplays, and I was recently attached to a screenplay that I didn't write, but that's not out yet. And, it's always like, who knows if it'll happen until it's happening. And that's where I always come from. But, I just steadily work and, in any way that I can, which is, for me, writing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm up to.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And Steve and Sasha, do you have anything you're looking forward
What
to?
are you doing, Josh?
Just life.
Nothing.
Swimming pool.
Yes, that is true.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Sasha moved to a house with a swimming pool.
Very jealous.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I've got a Showtime show called The Good Lord Bird that just started Sunday, and I'll be in the second episode of that. And
Yes. Congratulations on
and then I'm running off to. I just found out yesterday I'm doing a limited series HBO.
Cool.
So in a week I'll leave, but I've been sitting on my butt ever since this whole thing started. So
I'm sure it's both wonderful to have a break, but by now I think a lot of folks are feeling a little antsy, ready to get back to doing what they love. So
yeah,
I look forward to that for you, and I look forward to hearing about what that project is. I'm very excited. I'm sure it'll be in the trades at some point soon.
Yeah, Steve, can you say, or is it under wraps?
No, it's I'm shooting in Hawaii.
Wow, no.
Script and
Cool.
yeah, no, it's out of the blue, which is a blessing, man. I mean, just insurance, just things like that kicking in and starting to get a little nervous. So
yeah,
that's very
I'm really lucky to be able to go and work right now. A lot of people can't.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you all so much for being
You're welcome. I'm just going to say one thing, which is that if people want to follow the film, I mean, they can follow us on social media. We all have Instagram accounts. Sam Goldwyn is our distributor. And if you like the movie, like, tell people about it when it comes out next year at some point. And thank you for watching.
And thank you for being here. It's a really wonderful movie, and I'm so glad that we are able to share it with our audiences. So yes, thank you again.
Great.
You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Say goodbye on a Zoom.
I know, we're
okay.
like, bye.
I want to come over to your place. All right, I don't know if Sasha's over here. Are you over there? Are you over there, Sasha?
Yeah, Sasha's over there.
And then you're over here.
So you're
Sweet.
No,
High
this
five.
way.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
sweet.
High five.
I'm out. See ya.
Thank you all so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed our chat and that you enjoyed Cowboys. Please check out our website at newfest.org, where you can see over 120 films, features, and shorts that are beautiful and queer and hopefully a nice distraction from everything that's going on right now.